say a few words on the chat, maybe. So where are you in quarantine at the moment? So Clément, you're in Lyon, right, at the moment?
Yes, I'm in Lyon right now. And I think what is really interesting, so where you are, Jeremy?
So normally I'm living in San Francisco, and at the moment I'm locked down in Martinique, with a little island in the south of Caraïbes. So I'm confined far away from France. So for today, we prepare some slides. So we have 1 hour with you. The main goal is to give you like more context and overview. But keep in mind that we did this workshop to give you tools and methodology to identify your first users. So everything will be, you can apply all the things you will learn during this workshop for the rest of the hackathon. And we keep like 25 to 30 minutes at the end to ask you your question. So really don't hesitate to ask a question where you are. So I will share my screen. So it's the first time I'm using this platform, so I will see. So you can see my screen, right?
Yes, I think.
Cool. So yeah, as I mentioned, so we have 1 hour together. The main goal is to give you a first little bit more context about the growth hacking. And the rest is very like to give you tools and methods that you can use for the rest of the webinar. So we have been invited by Gauthier and the 32 teams. So thanks for the invite to talk about the growth hacking. So I think it's quite a buzzword, and I wanted to give you maybe more the origin and definition behind this term. So this is a quick question. So I think the marketing change associated to these different companies. So I put like 3 different logos, like pet.com, computer.com, autotrader, lastminute.com. And there is like 14 other companies in this case. So maybe you can guess, but the common area of these different companies is they are all part of the Super Bowl 2000 in Atlanta. So this is the year where the world and the tech world discovers that marketing was not easy. To give you an overview, so out of the 14 companies I list on the first slide, they all sponsored an advertising for the Super Bowl, and all the different companies have been bankrupt in the same years. So meaning this company has on the highest spending in marketing, so they invest millions into acquisition and marketing, and 6 months after that, they disappear. The company was not existing anymore. And so for the tech world, it was like, it was the moment where we discovered that, okay, so we can't do the traditional marketing to sell like startup product, tech product, or different services. So this is when there is a new trend in terms of marketing. So Son Ellis is the guy who started a blog called Startup Marketing. And he's the first one to explain why the traditional marketing can't apply to the startups. And he explained it's the first time we use the word like growth hacker and growth hacking. So he sent a letter to the startup to say it's time to hire a growth hacker and not a marketer. And the main difference he explained between like traditional marketing of Coca-Cola doing advertising for the Super Bowl and the early stage startup is that you need to invest in your growth. And so the main goal of this job, the growth hacker and the growth hacking, it's everything linked to the growth. So I give you like just a trend. So for people who don't know these tools, I really like invite you to use it during the hackathon to really identify the different keywords and the different, so is it a new topics? Is it a old topic? So I invite you to type like remote or COVID-19 or work from home in Google Trend, and you will see the different evolution of the word. But this is an overview of growth hacking. So it's a recent word. So the first one was in 2010, and since 2012, the growth, the name is growing, and people are looking for them. And we can do the same graph into the job offer of growth hacker or head of growth that is posted every week is increasing week over week. So to give you more context about the growth, so today there is like 3 types of growth hacking into the companies. So the first one is what we call demand generation. So if you check more position in the US, the name behind the growth hacker now is more like demand generation. Basically, it's part of the marketing. So it's a squad dedicated inside the marketing team that are fully dedicated to generate leads, so generate demand, generate the interest, ensure that people want to buy the product. A few examples of growth team who are doing demand generation at the moment. So you have a segment. So most of the people are engineers. So I'm sure you heard about these tools. So segment.com, and another more like in France ecosystem. It's called Swile with Launcher in the past, where they have like a growth team dedicated to demand generation topic and with part of the marketing. Another example, it's more growth associated to the product. So it's where the company invest in the growth, but using the product. So the great example is Facebook. So Facebook, most of the growth team are dedicated to product growth. So for example, like Zuckerberg was team leader of the growth team for a lot of times. So since the beginning to, I think, 3 years after the success of Facebook. And he was like leading the biggest team of Facebook, who was the growth. Another example more in the French ecosystem, it's Buffer, who is not French, but learned by French people, who is using the growth team to really work on the onboarding of the product, and every revenue is coming from the product. So you have these two trends. So first, growth is dedicated to marketing, or the other, growth is dedicated to product. This is directly linked to your business model. And the last one, what we see more recently coming more often, is a hybrid. So a team who are doing both product and both marketing. So an example, Figma with design tools. I hope you will use it during this hackathon. But Figma, it's a great example of they are doing the conversion of the website to the optimization of the functionalities. And at the Spendesk, we share the same philosophy. So we work both on the demand generation and on the product growth. Maybe a final topic, and after we'll more deep dive into what growth is on day-to-day. This is two philosophy you have behind the growth. So the first one is you have like people, like more like a functional growth team. So you take people from engineering team, from design team, from marketing. You put these people together on a specific project, and they will work for like head of marketing or head of product. But for example, the engineer will report to the head of engineering. So this is more in the hypothesis of the product or of the demand generation. And in our case, what we decide to do, we decide to build like an independent team, meaning we hire engineers, but for a different team with the growth team. We hire the designer, we hire data scientists, we hire business people, and we put these people into the same team, so the growth team. And my job is to lead this team. And so this is very unique because as an engineer, he's not working only with engineers, he's working with people coming from different backgrounds. And I think this is a presentation that Clément will talk now, is to give you more an overview of our definition of growth, how we are structured today, and also at the end to give you like example of what we are doing on a day-to-day and how you can work on your site to find your first users during this hackathon.
Thank you, Jeremy. Let's dive in. So if we look at growth hacking, there's one important word, and it's growth. And for us, growth, what is it? It's really related to revenue. This is the universal thing that everyone is looking at. It's cash. So everything that you try to do should be related to the revenue. If we take an example, the first year, Facebook did 1 million of revenue the first year. And why they did so much is because they were really focused on that metric. And this is the only metric that really matters when you're doing a product. So if you're looking at how we do that at Spendesk, and our own definition of growth is increasing the revenue with innovative methods and techniques. And we like to think that we are quite innovative and creative in the team because we're conducting a lot of experiments that are out of the ordinary. And you'll have a few examples at the end that I hope you'll find interesting. So now if you look at where we are, us at Spendesk, the growth team, we are at the same level as the marketing, the sales team, and the customer success, which means that we are our own team that are dedicated to bringing revenue, rainmakers, so revenue and cash to the company. This is really our job, and we are one team to do just that. So that's really important to remember that we are at the same level at the marketing and the sales team.
And maybe so our definition of growth is also linked to a team. So today, growth is not only a job like a growth hacker. We build a full function and a growth and a team around that. And I will let Clément present you the two different people that are part of the team today.
Yes. So we as Jeremy said, there are two main profiles on our team, and it's kind of related to your teams in this hackathon, because we have technical marketers, which are people that are related to the business side of things. They usually have done business school. And what is really important to remember is that they all have done a bootcamp, so they know how the code works. They know how to do some technical stuff. They're not really developers or engineers, but they know how to be autonomous with the tools. And that's really important. They're all experts on their domain. So if you look at it, we have one expert product owner. We have one that was a background in ops, one that is optimized on the conversion rate optimization, and one that is mastering the outbound strategy. So this is the first profile that you have on your team and that we have on our team. And the second one is more like the growth engineer. And if we look at what is really a growth engineer, this is really important to keep in mind that the first word, the word that is really important here is engineer. So the growth engineer in our team is the developer that is trying to solve one issue. And they have worked in product teams before, so they're really experts on what they're doing. They have a good background, so they know what they're doing. They didn't just do bootcamp. And they're really trying to solve a problem. They learn to code. They're usually self-taught, and they learn to code to solve one problem. They're engineers to do that. And so what they do is trying to solve a problem. And they're not just doers like in many product teams. What happens is some people come to us saying, okay, I have this issue, and this is our role to find solutions. They don't come with a solution that we have to implement. We are really a force of proposition saying, okay, this is how we're going to implement it. And this is the brick that are really important, which guarantees execution that is really fast within the team.
So thank you. I think this is more the part of like the history of the word growth hacking, the different definition, and our own philosophy. Most of the different workshops will be like to give you tips and method to find your first users during this hackathon. So if you have to keep in mind one thing after this workshop is this lovely drawing from my side. So I try to find something representing on internet, but I can't. So I use my pen and a paper, do things that don't scale. But to give you the hypothesis, so this is how acquisition marketing is working today. So you have one audience and you have one message, and you have to find a way to reach this audience with this message. So to give you maybe more explanation that will talk to you. So imagine, so you are working for Tinder, okay? And you have to explain Tinder to your best friends, okay? So the audience is your best friend. And the product offer, it's how you will pitch Tinder. So the word you will use to describe Tinder, the different word that you will decide to convince him to use Tinder. And keep in mind, so you keep the same product. So we keep Tinder, but I change your best friend by your mother or your father, okay? And now you have to explain the same product, but to your father or your mother. So I let you imagine that the product offering, the message you will use to describe Tinder to your best friend or to your mother will be completely different. And this is the hypothesis of acquisition today, is to identify very like narrow audiences and starting from the audience to find the right message. The main problem I see with engineers or with a young entrepreneur is they build Tinder and they try to give the same message to anyone. And so the main problem when you try to talk to everyone with the same message, it's at the end, you never talk to anyone. So keep in mind this lovely schema, and you can use it on spreadsheet, on paper, to really like think during this hackathon, to really put on the left, who are the different audience? Who are the people who need to use our product? And on the opposite, what are the pitch we will use them? What are the message we'll give to them? And after, this is the channel. So the channel is more how can we share this message to this audience? So channel can be acquisition, can be Super Bowl advertising, can be some different example we'll show later. But this is really like the one thing to keep in mind during that stop. So I will stop sharing for a few time because I can see the chat and waiting to make a pause before moving to the second part with like concrete example. So did anyone have any question for the moment? It's time to ask it. Otherwise, we'll take time at the end of the talk. Thank you, Gauthier, to validate. I was trying to find an example who talk to most of the people around. So I will start So I will keep it for later, Gauthier, but you can start asking a question. So I will start again sharing my screen. So as I mentioned, so this is an example of audience at Spendesk. So I didn't present you Spendesk. If you're curious, you can just Google it or check my LinkedIn. The main goal is to give you tools and method to work. But this is an example of audience. So sorry, is in French, but we are targeting like women who are leading a finance team, who are young women in terms of finance leaders, working in Paris. They study outside Paris, so they went to Paris for a job, and they work for like international companies with a team of 5. So you can see the different criteria. And this is how we build the audience at Spendesk. So keep in mind, you need to really invest in the audience and the segmentation of this audience. So to ensure you have like the smaller possible audiences to draft the best messages. Now, let's jump to the best part. And why people love what we are doing today. So we decided to present you like few experiments. So some are coming from famous companies, others are coming from our personal backlog. And keep in mind to find the audience and message during these different experiments. And I think you Clément, your turn to talk about one of the most famous one with
yes.
Airbnb.
So Airbnb are well known for all the growth hacks that they implemented throughout their life. But one of the first one they did is when they had absolutely no users, or at least really a few users. And they had the problem to say, okay, so how do I make people come to my site and become my customers? And this is a problem that you may have right now. And we'll see how they solve that. So the first question they asked themselves was, where are the people going to rent their flat? So they searched and they found out people were on Craigslist. Craigslist, what is it? It's a little site of petite annonce, like Le Bon Coin in France, where people were just posting apartments. And they were like, okay, I will try to do something. I will try to put my flat on Craigslist and redirect them to Airbnb to see what's happening. And they saw that people were clicking on their site and going to Airbnb and just renting their place on Airbnb. So they did things that don't scale. They just put it manually. And then once they see that it was working, they validated the experiment. They were like, okay, how do I scale it? How do I move it to the next level? And the idea was, how can I make my people on Airbnb post their announce on Craigslist? So they tried to integrate with Craigslist, but the issue was there was no API to connect. Craigslist doesn't allow you to do that. But there were engineers at Airbnb, and that's what it's really important. You have engineers in your teams, you have marketing or business. And what they did is, we are going to retro-engineer the API of Craigslist so that we can post announce on Craigslist that will link directly to our Airbnb, so that people that will come to Craigslist will come to Airbnb, and they will stay on Airbnb because of one reason, which is the second hack. What they did is, okay, how do I make sure that my people that are not going from Craigslist to Airbnb are going to stay on my site, are going to stay my customers? We have to do something better. And what they did here is that they say, okay, we're going to hire professional photographers and we're going to offer the service for free. Every people that are going to rent their home on Airbnb are going to have professional photography. And because the quality of the photography were way better on Airbnb, people wanted to have a better quality of photo because it was more representative. So they stayed on Airbnb. So that every traffic that went to Craigslist went to Airbnb, and people stayed on Airbnb because the service was better. So here, what is really important to keep in mind is they identify where the customers were. It was on Craigslist. They identify a way for these people to go from Craigslist to their site at least once. And once they did that, they identify the way so that these customers will stay on their site. So there was one element here that is really important, and that is what will differentiate you. So that's the experiment of Airbnb, which is pretty awesome, and you can inspire yourself with it. Yeah, and now we can go back to the second experiment, I think.
If you have any doubt, just go on Google and type Craigslist, because this is the first announced, but the website is still the same. There is millions of people in Craigslist for people who live in the US. You may know that. The second experiment, it's quite the same mindset. So we decide to show you like very handsome presentation, so that you can use really like today or tomorrow to find your first users. So the second one, it's a Belgium startup, so it's called Menu Next Door. They did a great job. So Menu Next Door, the pitch is basically your neighbor will cook something for you. So instead of going to the restaurant to take a delivery, you just go to the next doors and you order some food, and you have like a nice looking dishes for tonight, cheaper than a restaurant. But instead of building like a whole mobile application with geolocalization, with purchase and all the stuff, they decide to test the ideas. And how to test the ideas? They take the same concept. So people are always on Facebook. It was on the time where everyone was part of Facebook groups, and you have a great activity on Facebook. And so they decide to create different groups. So this is the group in Paris. There is a group in different area of Paris, in different city in the south. And they decide to say, okay, so let's first find some people who will cook for others and post the menu directly on the Facebook group. And people can reply in comments, yes, I wanted, or yes, if they are interested. And so they decide to test the idea with the Facebook group. And at the end, so you can see the number of people part of the Menu Next Door Paris. So they have a great audiences and a great communities. And after they build the product during the same time, but the product was like adding value to the process. So for example, you can book in advance. So the chief, someone who will cook, will receive the money before he went to the grocery stores. So they decide the platform to add value to the existing problems they are solving, on top of building the best and nice looking application where nobody will order any menu on it. So this is a great example to keep in mind that people are not buying and using your product, they are buying the problem you are solving. So keep that in mind. I know there is a lot of engineers in different teams. Keep in mind that people are not here for the best solution. People are here for the best solution to the problems they have, okay? And this is a great way to find your first users, is to go where people are. A second experiment, so it's more on our side. So we did it, and it became quite viral. So I decided to present it today. So we watch a lot of TV shows in the team. Some are not on HBO. So we use some weird streaming website or popcorn time sometimes. And one of my favorite TV shows, and the same for Clément and for the different people of the Spendesk team, it's Mr. Robot. So Mr. Robot is a great TV show. And what we decide, we say, okay, why not putting like a custom subtitle into TV shows? So that was the initial idea. After some research on internet and some Bitcoin well spent, we find a way to pay someone who writes the subtitle. And so when there is a silence during the episode, they can put a message for you and you pay for that. And so basically I did it. So imagine I paid some Bitcoin, it was a few times ago, and no news because you can't see it. You depend of the website you are watching and the subtitle services you are using. You can't really verify if it was working or not. And imagine 2 or 3 weeks after that, we start to receive some tweet, some message on LinkedIn, some message, some sign up, and people say, this is one of the best tweets. So he's a CTO in Paris who say, did you hack Mr. Robot subtitle? And on the TV show, you can see, want to join a startup, Spendesk.com is hiring. And if you take the example of the Super Bowl, you know, advertising, we don't have the budget to do the Super Bowl advertising, so we decided to do Popcorn Time advertising. But the idea it was, we know we didn't sponsor all the different TV shows. We sponsor like specific TV show where people we know they will like to have like an advertising into it. For example, if we did the same into Game of Thrones, I'm not sure it will be the same success and the same feeling. And to give you an overview, so we just spent like a few amounts. So I would say up to now, like maybe $100 or $200, and more than 1 million of people have seen the different advertising since the beginning of the experiment. So this is another example why doing things differently, everything is on the message and the audience. And in this particular experience, it was the channel who have been very important because it was quite new. I never see advertising into a TV show before the Spendesk one.
And there's another example that we find very interesting because it's way more traditional, but it's also a really, really good idea, is how to differentiate yourself and what is the channel that you're going to use. And this example is, for example, with Lyft. Lyft is one of the main concurrent of Uber, but they arrived after them, which means that they had the problem that Uber was already there, had already a lot of customers, and they had to make their place into this market. So how they did that? They arrived to a new city and they asked drivers and they paid them to wear a pink mustache and just tell them to drive around the city and convince their friend drivers to do the same, and they are going to be paid. And now imagine yourself, you are walking around San Francisco and you see one pink mustache. Well, it's the United States, so it doesn't shock you. It's people can do extravagant stuff, but then you see a second one, a third one, a fourth one. You're like, okay, I am missing something now. So you do what every people do here. You are going to Google it, pink mustache, and bam, you have Lyft. So now you have the messaging, you have the channel, which is this pink mustache that will bring customers to the site Lyft, so that people are aware that Lyft exists, and now they want to try it. So they just changed something that was, they just changed a traditional thing and added a little bit of pink mustache, and the results were astonishing. They managed to arrive in big towns where Uber were already in place. So this is one example of how to when you differentiate yourself enough and elegantly, you can achieve great results. But it doesn't have to be very big, just a pink mustache.
Another example, so we didn't play with mustache at Spendesk yet, but with the purple color, it can be a cool effect. But we did a great experiment we call coffee cards. So basically, so we are a platform with very different users. And we discover that some users are leaving the company, meaning, for example, like Philippe, who worked at Le Wagon, a coding bootcamp in Berlin, was working for 3 years for Le Wagon, was using Spendesk every day. He was doing a payment at least one, or he was using the product every day. And one day, he had a better opportunity at Code University, and he decided to move. So he left Le Wagon and his Spendesk account, and he moved to a company that are not using Spendesk anymore. So we lose one of the customers because he find a better job opportunity. What we did, so we decided to analyze on the database all the people who have been removed from the platform. We check, so we export this data. We check on LinkedIn who are the different people who find a new job. So why people left the company, and we identify like few people who find a new job. So as I mentioned, do things that don't scale. So you can see the spreadsheet on the beginning of the table of the job. What we did, we prepare like a little gift for them. So we take a picture of the salesperson with the Spendesk card. We put like our product. So we are building corporate cards. So we put a corporate card, and we handwriting a letter to say, hey, Philippe, congrats for your new job at Code University. It looked like a great career move for you. You can find like a Spendesk card with 20 euro on it. You can use it to take a coffee with Gerardo, your new CFO. PS, we miss you on the platform. And we put on the credit card like a message to say, hey, Philippe, if you receive the credit card, text me back. I will give you the PIN code. So this is a great success. So we sent 100 cards like that. 80 people answer to us. So I let you imagine compared to sending an email to these people and sending this gift. So the response rate was very high, and we generate 5 new customers because what happened? Philippe, who changed the company, explained what was Spendesk to his new finance manager or a new CEO. So we lose some people on the platform and we win other customers. So that's a win-win relationship. And this is an idea I like on this concept when you are early stage. It was 2 years ago when we was a small company, and we decided like to find a solution. And sometimes the solution can be maybe not an API or not sending thousands of emails. It's just 1 hour of my time writing some letters. Another great example that you can really apply during this hackathon. So I work for Spendesk for a long time since the beginning, and I have a new mission since a few months. So I'm living in San Francisco to launch Spendesk in the US. So I'm at the same situation as you today. So I don't really have a product because the US is a different market. I don't really have resources because the core market is the Europe. And so we have to find different way to acquire customer in the US. It's different between San Francisco. Nobody knows us, and we have to start from zero again. So what I decide, I say, okay, so I need to talk to people, okay? Because the first step is to talk to people. And this is an advice I give you during this hackathon. Talk to your user, talk to the audience you are looking for. So I start to contact French people, so people who speak French fluently, into the US. And what I discover is like 90% of these people answer to myself. Just to give you an overview, in France, it's more like 12 people, 12% of the people. So when my sales team in France contact people, 12% of them reply. When I contact someone who speaks French in the US, it's 90%. So my job was just to identify all the people based on the LinkedIn information who are native and bilingual in the US. So you can see Thomas. So Thomas is finance manager at Decathlon USA. We never worked with Decathlon in the past, but today Decathlon is using Spendesk. So I met Thomas 3 months ago just to say, okay, Thomas, you work in the US. I want your insight. I'm launching a product. And when I discuss with Thomas, I have to pitch my product. And he say, hey, Jeremy, you know that it can be interesting for Decathlon. And now Decathlon is one of our biggest users in the US. So this is the mindset of audience. Again, why people answer to me, because I send a message in France where they receive only like outbound message in email every day. My approach, the message was very personalized. I want to contact you because you live in the US, but you have a background in France. And after that, when you talk to people, the number of opportunities generated is very lot. So when you will do the hackathon, don't hesitate to talk to people, to identify people that are maybe using a competitor, that will give you some tips. And because these people will be your first users. So go outside your computer, not today, but go outside open, contact people on LinkedIn, contact people from your school, contact other people to get some feedback about your product you are building. I think now we move on to the technical part, Clément, because yes. I know there is a lot of engineers in the people who watch this talk, and this can be very, very interesting for you.
Yes. So here the next 2 examples will be way more technical, but they still solve the same issues that we're trying to see, that we're trying to tell you, which is which channel, which audience, and which product. But here we already have the product. So here we had a problem. We are in the US, and there is already one big player in the US that is doing basically what we're doing, but we are better than them, obviously. So what we are trying to do is, okay, they have a customer base that we don't have right now, and how are we going to use their customer base to acquire new people? And here, the example is Expensify. So the first thing is to identify the real users, the users that are using Expensify. And to do that, we are trying to figure out how to know if a person is using a service. And we were like, okay, we're going on their site and we'll try to reverse engineer what they're doing. And the solution is when you're trying to log to Expensify, there is a call to their backend servers. And this call is sending back a response. And inside this response, we see, okay, customer, not customer, or company is a customer. So just by trying an email of someone that we know. We send the email, we look at the response from the server, and we see if yes or no, this person is using Expensify or no, or this company. So here we have the whole databases, and you can see what it looks like. So basically, we're trying to send one of these emails to the Expensify API, and Expensify is really sweet because they just send us the response. So we're just asking them their customer, and they're giving back to them to us. And here, this is what we see: is customer, the company's customer, and this information is really interesting because now we know who to contact. And what is really important is we know the messaging that we need to give them. We need to say, this, you are using Expensify, we are Spendesk. So we don't have to pitch what is Spendesk because they already know Expensify. We gain a lot of time, but we insist on what differentiates us from Expensify and what makes us better. And because of that, we are able to find new clients in the US. So this is the first technical example, which is retro-engineer the API calls that are going from your front end, from your browser to their backend side, and just look at the response. Maybe there are some insightful things here. Okay, so now if we, yeah, you want to say something?
So there is so it was a big buzz around Zoom, so the video conversational platform, and you can find thousands of articles of how you can identify if a company are using Zoom, or to have the list of all the Zoom users. So I invite you to really spend times if you are building a product with an integration or a product on top of another product. This is something to explore during the hackathon.
Yes, to know which users or which company are already using the tool that you're trying to integrate with. There's a lot of ways to do that, which includes a little bit of code or not, and you should really be curious about that and how to do that. And now the last experiment is something that we haven't tried at Spendesk right now, but we are going to give you away this tool. And this is how to find your users on Product Hunt. And this is really something that should interest you because you are going to launch on Product Hunt. So it could be really interesting to find the users that will like your product. So basically, we've created a tool that I will share with you after. Can you go back, Jeremy? Thank you. So we created a tool that will allow you to find the users that already liked products that are related to yours. So here you can see the upvoted by. There is a list of all the people that liked a specific product. Imagine you see one product that is really similar to yours, and you see all the people that like that. Maybe they could be potential clients for your new product. And this is really interesting because you will be able to contact them. So you can go after. So we created a little tool that will allow you to specify which topic interests you. For example, in the terminal here, I think I said travel. So we can identify all the products that are related to travel and find all the users, all of them that liked products related to travel. And now we have information about them. We know their Twitter username. And with that, maybe we can do a campaign on Twitter that will target this specified person. And because we know that they like what is related to travel, you increase a lot your potential conversion rate. And so you reduce your costs and you have new customers arriving to your site. So this product is available at this GitHub. I invite you to test it with your product, and maybe you can find new users, and maybe you'll contact them for your launch to help your product be on Product Hunt in the top 5.
So thank you, Clément. I think that's it for the different experiment. We'll jump to the question. Just if you like this talk or the different experiment we shared, so we have a public newsletter, which is called growthletter.club. So you can just Google it. So every Friday, we send quite a sample of this presentation. So we give you tools, jobs, different people working in growth, and also articles. So if you like what we explain you about growth and you want to learn more about growth, I invite you to subscribe for these free newsletters, which is coming every Friday. And I think that's it for us. So thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you. Do you have any questions? I think there was one question we missed, Jeremy.
Yeah, so Victoria, just a quick question about the newsletter. So the newsletter, I think it's in French, but most of the articles shared are in English.
Yes. And there's one question of Victor. Hello, how to adapt the message to different audience when we only have one landing page? Do you want to answer that?
So the first answer, so basically you have to learn the message. So you have to learn what the people want to see. And on top of that, so for example, if you check, we start back because Gauthier like this example about Tinder. So I will have like tinder.com, with one page, but maybe on Tinder, I will select different block. So one maybe more for the woman, one more for male. And around that, I will give like the proposition value. So into a one page, I will not keep in mind that the user will watch all the page, but I will invite the different audiences to focus on one page. So I'm sure you already seen that on the different websites where you say like Spendesk for marketing agencies and you have the value proposition. So I think it's something to keep in mind. It's on the page. So when you say to the people, you have to read this part. So that's why you can see as or Spendesk for or the different jobs. So this is something you can use. So to have only one page, but you can have different parts in this page to talk to different people. And a quick advice is to use like different colors that help the users to know like if it's interesting or not for him to see the information.
Because the attention span on one landing page is really small. Sometimes it's 10 seconds. So if the users can identify directly what is the message for him, is more likely to stay on your page and look at your product.
And because like you have to build one landing page, keep in mind that during this hackathon, you have to build the product market fit. So really like the POC. So like the first product. And normally you have to target one people. So when we build Spendesk, we only target one dedicated people. So we build one landing page for one person. So this is my advice for this hackathon, is to really focus like on specific users and build the best solution with the best message for these typical audiences.
And one maybe other advice would be don't focus on too much features on your product because you are trying to launch and test your ID. Just do the maximum you can do on one feature, the feature that is really the core of your product. And if this feature is really interesting, your product will work. It doesn't need to have a lot of features, and it could be a downside to have many features because it's less understandable to have many features, but focus on your core feature that will allow you to have more customers.
Maybe Gauthier, so you mentioned a question about every company should have a growth team in nowadays. So I think this is definitely a yes. But more to give you a tips, I think the challenge for you during this hackathon is to really work. Everyone from the team have to work on the growth, meaning everyone have to ensure like people will use the product. So don't split the group into you will build the product, we will find users. No, work together to say, okay, you need to find people that will use your product, and everyone from the teams have to work in this direction. This is the definition of growth. It's people using the product.
And because you have multiple backgrounds on your teams, you will have more ideas. So if you split the team, you will lose a lot of ideas that could be really precious. So just keep in mind, how am I going to make this product used by users, where I can find my user, even if you're the tech guy of the team. Try to think about those questions, and you'll come out with good solutions or good ideas that could be implemented.
So we still have some 5 minutes on this talk. Do you have any question in mind? You can really ask some question about. We can give you some ideas or help you to guide about how you can find your first users. So you can really ask a different question and leverage the Clément skills. He can give you different tips specific to that.
I'm not sure I mentioned it, but I did 42 like you. So this could be interesting because I had the same experience than you. So maybe if you have any questions also on that, feel free to reach out after or now with questions.
Maybe to add, Gauthier, so I joined Spendesk in 2016. It was a very small company with no users, no money, and nothing at that time. Today we are quite established, so we raised 50 million and we are 180 with different offices. But keep in mind that the first version of Spendesk, the one we showed to people, it was so we are doing like a credit card, okay? And the idea was to do like virtual card, but you need like an API with Visa and all the stuff. So what we decided to do, we decided to build a Chrome extension where the owner of the company can take a snap, take the picture of the credit card. And after, on the Chrome extension, all the employees from the company with the Google Connect can get access to the credit card. So this is the first version of Spendesk. This is the idea we built in 1 weekend. And this is the idea we shared to people to give some feedback. Why? It was not really, it was solving the issue. People have a trouble to share the corporate card into the company, and that was solving the issue. And this is also the way to have like a way to reach out to people. So we say, hey, we are working on something new. Can I show you? And people love to see the product, okay? So when you have this approach and when people love it, we find a way, like we capture feedback. And I remember, so we start, the first company we contact was Algolia. So it was already like a big company, I think with 100 employees at that time. And I remember to show the first version of the product to Algolia. And today, Algolia is one of our biggest account customers with offices in every continent in the world, I think, and with 1,000 of users on the product. So this is something to keep in mind. Do things that don't scale. Start with a very light product and talk to people, and they will come to you.
So I think I can answer this question, Gauthier, I guess, or maybe it's you on the Claude name again. So would you recommend to be super scrappy and participants shouldn't be over-engineering their ideas? I think this is the core principle of the hackathon. And this is, in 3 days, you won't be able to build a super fancy product. So yes, try to just focus on your ideas and solve the problem in any way. Maybe it won't be the solution that you'll have in 2 months or 3 months or 1 year, but try to solve the problem. Focus on the problem, and if it's scrappy, it doesn't matter as long as it solves the problem. I think that's the really the real message here.
So thank you. That's it for us. So if you have any question during this hackathon, we're still available. So you can contact us on LinkedIn directly. So you can find us easily. Otherwise, I wish you like a good luck. And I'm also like a product end user, so I will vote for some product at the end of the hackathon. And good luck and waiting to try the product.
Yes.